We are told this lie that Photoshop is the industry standard. Okay, it's not a lie, but it doesn't mean you need Photoshop. I'm a professional artist. I've used Photoshop for many years. If we're talking about photo editing, 6-7 years. If we're talking about painting, around 4 years. I'm dissatisfied with its features, the amount of features it has, how overcomplicated Photoshop is to learn. I've made my best work in Clip Studio Paint. These are some reasons I think you should leave Photoshop and switch to Clip Studio Paint, or at least just leave Photoshop. This is my love letter to Clip Studio Paint. I've worked with them in the past. I hope to work with them again in the future, but this video is not sponsored. I just seriously love Clip Studio Paint. This is the first reason to switch. Photoshop is expensive. I've spent thousands of dollars over the years on Photoshop. I hate to think about it because it would make my blood boil and curdle inside my body and I would die from lack of liquid blood. All I have to say is if you don't put the Adobe Cloud down on your taxes as an expense, you don't need it. I cringe thinking about how much money went down the drain as I paid for the entire Creative Cloud. There was a time when I was paying for both the Photoshop and Lightroom version of the cloud and then the whole cloud, so I was paying $70 a month for it all. We don't need to talk about it. The second reason I don't recommend Photoshop for digital artists is because Photoshop is a photo retouching app. It is made for photo editing, photo manipulation, and photo retouching. Think beauty retouching, removing a friend from a family portrait that you don't want that friend in anymore, or even giving the sky some color and clouds when the photo you took, the sky is just blown out. While it does have many features that are fantastic for digital artists, since its focus is primarily for photo retouching, it's not optimized for digital art. It shows in the interface, it's overcomplicated. You can change the workspaces around, but that takes hours that you could be painting, not learning a program. Even for myself as a professional, somebody who's used this program for years, there are too many tools to understand them all. It's overcomplicated and it has a lot of distracting features that you just actually don't need as a digital artist. On the flip side, Clip Studio Paint is made for artists. It's made for painting. It has features for comic creation, animation, or just old-fashioned digital painting, which is what I do. It has realistic paint blending, which is something that I was just not able to achieve in Photoshop. And just as there are so many assets for the Creative Cloud and for Photoshop, there are thousands of free assets, brushes, textures that you can download from Clip Studio Paint's asset library for free that you don't have to pay for. The long and short of why I switched is that Clip Studio's interface is made with digital artists in mind. And the tools you need are readily available. You don't have to hunt them down. You don't have to organize your workspace. All the tools that you would need are there, and tools that you don't need are not in this interface. This is esoteric, but bear with me. When I used Photoshop, it never felt right. The brushes, the workflow never felt right. It felt like I was forcing myself to paint to a point where I didn't think digital painting was for me anymore. I did not enjoy it. I felt it was cumbersome. I was never able to get my paintings to look exactly the way I wanted to. I spent many hours that I didn't need to spend in the chair, sitting there trying to make the paintings work. And I don't know how to explain it. Their brush mechanics are not as streamlined as Clip Studio Paint's. When I switched to Clip Studio Paint, all of a sudden I was able to paint something that took me like an hour and a half in Photoshop. I was able to paint that in like 40 minutes in Clip Studio Paint. Brushes, the blending, the layers, the workflow, it all makes sense for digital artists. I have to stress that since I used Photoshop for painting for around 4 years maybe, I downloaded hundreds of brushes, different assets, and I never found something that worked for me personally. I love Clip Studio Paint because it's affordable. I pay for Clip Studio Paint. I think their licenses are reasonably priced. You're not spending hundreds of dollars a year on a license. In fact, if you pre-order my book, Digital Painting Made Simple, I have a free 12-month trial to Clip Studio Paint debut for you. Digital Painting Made Simple covers everything from choosing the tech, setting up your canvas, figuring out adjustment layers, composition, color theory, how to draw the eyes, nose, lips, face, how to put it all together, and how to add finishing touches. It's extremely comprehensive, written for beginners in mind. I'm so proud of this book. I think I did an extraordinary job. I have off-the-chart endorsements from industry legends for this book, so if you want to check it out, you can also get a free 12-month trial to Clip Studio Paint debut. Links in the bio. I wrote the book I wish I had when I started my digital painting journey, and I really think it's going to be a wonderful resource for you too. Pre-orders also help me so much. It can be in more small bookstores, more in-person bookstores. So if you want to support me, pre-order. Clip Studio Paint is much more affordable than Photoshop, and it's a big reason why I switched over. I do have something unfortunate to tell you. I still pay for Photoshop. I know, gut-wrenching. Twist the knife around in my heart. Because of the nature of my job, I have to edit thumbnails. I retouch prints and photos in Photoshop, and I also use Lightroom Lightroom for color grading. I only pay for Photoshop and Lightroom right now. When I finish my digital paintings in Clip Studio Paint, I love to take them into Lightroom to color grade them and into Photoshop to add some light leaks and presets that I'm just used to using. I was using these presets before I made the switch over to Clip Studio Paint, and you can achieve the same effects in Clip Studio Paint, but because I already need Photoshop and Lightroom for other business reasons, I don't really need to switch that workflow because it's really quick and simple and easy for me. You don't need it. You can achieve all the same effects in Clip Studio Paint, and maybe you don't even want to add the same effects that I add to my paintings. When I bring my paintings into Photoshop, I like to think of them as photos that need to be altered and not digital paintings that need to be rendered. I'm not using it at all for any painting. The last reason I recommend Clip Studio Paint is they have a tablet app. You can import the exact same files that you're working on your computer into Clip Studio Paint on your tablet, and you can seamlessly work on the go with the exact same files that you were using on your desktop. It's very versatile. Some of the best art I've ever made has been with Clip Studio Paint, or even with free software like Krita. I don't know why Teenage Me is on the front page of Krita, but it's okay. That trip was really fun. I got to go to the Netherlands. But why am I on the homepage? The published date for my book, Digital Painting Made Simple, is February 25th. I will also, when it launches, have some free brush packs and assets on my website. If you haven't purchased the book, you can still go and use them for free, but they are to be used in tandem with the book. Let me know what painting software you use. Have you considered making the switch from Photoshop to Clip Studio Paint? Do you prefer one or the other? Let me know. I'm nosy and I want to know what your workflow is like. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope it was a helpful resource for you. I put out new videos every week, so subscribe and turn on notifications to know when I post a new video. I'll talk to you in the next one. Bye.